Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN TV Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications. And now, let's join ace broadcaster MAMODE AKUGHA as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's Oral Reach region. I'm your regular host, MAMODE AKUGHA.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Bayelsa State Governor Senator Doyediri has called on the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, deploy additional resources to the rehabilitation of the failed sections of the crucial East-West Road. Senator Diri, who made the call at the Niger Delta Stakeholders Summit organized by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, in Port Harcourt last week, also questioned the capacity of the contractor handling the reconstruction work at Okogbe Ula Okubo axis connecting Bayelsa and River States.
Governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doyediri, who was on his way to attend the gathering of stakeholders in Port Harcourt, organized by the Niger Delta Development Commission last week, came face to face with the travails of travelers on the deplorable portion of the East-West Road connecting his state to neighboring River State.
A very important infrastructure, road infrastructure that links the south to the east, to the west of the southern part of Nigeria is abandoned by the federal government of Nigeria. Why? Why? What have we done to deserve this suffering? People have been here for 1 week, 2 weeks. What have we done? I am pained.
The reconstruction of the road started in 2006 to connect states in the South-South zone, from Delta running through Bayelsa State, Rivers to Akwa Ibom and then Cross River State. However, the rather slow pace of work on the East-West Road, coupled with seasonal flooding wreaking further damages on the road, has made some portions unmotorable. Governor Diri, who managed to arrive at the venue of the event after several hours of traversing the extremely bad road, could not hide his feelings on the state of the road when it was time for him to address the stakeholders.
Prior to today, the journey between Yenagoa and Port Harcourt is either 1.5 hours or 1 hour. For those of us who even come with a convoy, 1 hour you are in Port Harcourt. But today, I traveled 4 hours between Yenagoa and Port Harcourt. Our people are suffering. That road has collapsed. So while we appreciate Mr. President for the coastal road, there is need to immediately go into the East-West Road. If that contractor does not have the capacity, please, Mr. President, hand over that road to the Niger Delta Development Commission.
The current state of work and the condition of the single most important road in the region have been a serious concern to not just passengers and motorists, but also stakeholders in the region. They consider it disturbing that despite the socio-economic imperative of the road to the Nigerian economy, successive governments have failed to prioritize its completion. It will be recalled that the Niger Delta Development Commission intervened at different times in the past to ease vehicular movement and reduce the burdens of travelers. Just last week, The Commission again deployed its contractor to immediately carry out some emergency repairs on a lane of the road connecting Rivers to Bayelsa and Delta states. However, the people are calling for a lasting solution to the deplorable condition of the region-wide road by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to alleviate the sufferings of the people.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Stakeholders, including political and community leaders, youths and women's groups from the 9 states of the Niger Delta region, have called for coordinated and deliberate efforts by the federal and state governments to develop the oil-rich region. The stakeholders made the submission last week in a 19-point communique issued at the end of the Niger Delta Development Commission organized 2024 Niger Delta Stakeholders Summit in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. They emphasized that the infrastructure deficit and economic hardship as well as environmental threats in the region are overwhelming and too extensive for any single entity to handle. They therefore called on all development actors in the region to unite in advocating for increased funding for the Regional Intervention Agency as well as the establishment of a Niger Delta Development Bank to spur economic growth and prosperity in the oil-rich region.
The mention of Nigeria's Niger Delta region always evokes two contrasting feelings which are often at the extremes. While on one hand it is seen as a blessed land flowing with milk and honey, on the other it is synonymous with abject poverty, infrastructure deficits, and almost everything deplorable. Balancing this narrative and proposing workable and tailored solutions was at the center of the recently organized Niger Delta Development Commission's 2024 Stakeholder Summit in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, last week. The 4-day event last week brought together peoples from the region, including community and political leaders, development partners, and policy experts to draw up a clear pathway for shared prosperity with the theme Renewed Hope for Sustainable Development of the Niger Delta. NDDC Governing Board Chairman Mr. Chiedu Ebie, in his welcome address at the technical session which flagged off the summit last Wednesday, reaffirmed the commitment of the current leadership of the Commission to drive sustainable development in the region.
Our primary objective today is therefore to devise methods and implementation plans that are measurable and sustainable.
For his part, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NDDC, Dr. Samuel Ubuku, stated that the Commission will remain steadfast in fulfilling President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's mandate for the completion of critical projects in the region.
With the directives of Mr. President, NDDC is willing to partner with the state government in the Niger Delta to ensure that we achieve more. NDDC is not in competition with any state. NDDC is here as a partner for development.
The National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, represented by Mrs. Grace Ihoma Osariti in the lead presentation at the technical session, revealed that the federal government is developing a specific security policy aimed at addressing insecurities and restiveness in the oil-rich region.
The President hopes to make a policy for sustainable development that addresses the implication of environmental issues to security as a central theme.
The session later dissolved into groups where participants deliberated extensively on issues such as economic, human capital and social development, among others. Last Friday, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio led other dignitaries including governors, ministers and federal legislators to the summit proper, which was held at the Obi Wale International Conference Center. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, speaking through Senate President Godswill Akpabio, assured Niger Deltans of his commitment to transforming the region through continued support for the interventionist agency as well as direct policies and programs.
The Lagos-Calabar coastal road started by the President will not only start from Lagos. Mr. President has also agreed that it must also take route from Niger Delta simultaneously. Then it will meet up with the one in Lagos. The Niger Delta Development Commission has never had the kind of budget that they are having in 2024. The President has approved that they can go ahead and get a soft loan of 1 trillion to add to complete all the other projects that they have in mind in order to bring quick development to this region.
Chairman of the summit, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, commended the interventionist agency for creating a platform for robust engagement to chart new frontiers for the region and its people.
So NDDC must have a way to manage the infrastructure they complete. There are two ways to do that. They can, on their own, continue to maintain their roads. And everybody who lives in that area will know that this is what NDDC has contributed to the area. Alternatively, they could meet with the governors, and a road that is dear to the state, they can construct and donate it to the state. In that case, the state will take over the maintenance of the road.
Dignitaries, presenters and participants drawn from all walks of life while highlighting the myriad of challenges holding the region back called for collective, decisive and continuous efforts to change the ugly narrative.
The focus, I believe, of the Niger Delta Development Commission ought to be the people, the productivity of the people. Yes, we have the hydrocarbons. Yes, we're probably one of the most developed in terms of mineral resources in the region and perhaps in all of West Africa. But all that means nothing if the people themselves are not productive.
For the last 20 plus years, the NDDC has been a colossal failure. And so summits like this are important for people to bring points, to bring suggestions, and then so that NDDC will serve that purpose for which it is established, which is to intervene successfully.
The Niger Delta Stakeholders Summit 2024 concluded with the presentation of a 19-point action plan contained in a communique. The action points include activating the NDDC Advisory Committee, which comprises the 9 governors from the region. This committee will champion the need for increased funding and push for the refund of debts owed to the Commission. Other points highlight the importance of environmental preservation and call for a review of the educational curriculum across the region to prioritize technical and vocational training. This document was subsequently presented to the leadership of the Commission for onward transmission to President Bola Tinubu for consideration.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Dr. Samuel Ogbuku, says the Commission remains supremely committed to ensuring the overall development of both the physical infrastructure as well as the advancement of the socio-economic lives of the people in the oil-rich Niger Delta region. Dr. Ogbuku made this known last week while presenting the Commission's 1.911 trillion budget estimates for the 2024 fiscal year to the House of Representatives in Abuja, which he says was guided by the policy thrust of President Bola Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda.
The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Commission, Dr. Samuel Ogbuku, accompanied by the Chairman and members of the Governing Board, as well as other top management staff, handed over the proposal to the Chairman House Committee on NDDC, Eriatake Iborisuenu. In his address, Dr. Ogbuku said the budget seeks to move the Commission from transaction to transformation, ensuring that the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu permeates the lives and livelihoods of the people in the region.
We have tried as much as possible to comply with the renewed hope agenda policies and principles. Hence, within the President's 1-year anniversary commemoration, we're able to commission some landmark projects such as the 27.5 kilometer road in Bayelsa, linking Ogbea to Nembe, that has about 7 bridges and 50 culverts. We believe we have really done well in making the committee that supervises us proud and also making Mr. President proud.
The budget comprises over 835 billion naira for development projects and 38 billion naira for personnel cost. A total of 1 trillion naira was also earmarked for major legacy projects, while other expenditures and items are expected to be funded through joint revenues from oil companies, the Ecological Fund, and federal government contributions. The 1 trillion for legacy projects would be financed through borrowing from development partners and financial institutions. The chairperson of the committee, Honorable Ibori Suenu, underlined the importance of funding and promised that the committee will critically examine the proposal to ensure it is realistic and properly meets the yearnings of the people.
We appreciate the hard work and dedication of the budget team in putting together this proposal. It is, however, our responsibility as a committee to scrutinize every detail of the proposal to ensure that we are making the best decision for the organization and the people of the region and stakeholders.
Meanwhile, member representing Sagbama Ikeromo Federal Constituency in Bayelsa State, Honorable Fred Agbedi, says the 1.911 trillion 2024 budget proposal for the Niger Delta Development Commission, when approved, will allow the leadership of the intervention agency consolidate gains made in the past months, as well as significantly improve the living conditions of the people in the region. Honorable Agbedi made this known in an exclusive interview with Inside the Niger Delta in his office in Abuja.
If we don't create the enabling peaceful environment for them to execute this budget, it will be another loss for all of us. So I want a situation where our people will work with them, we receive them well, we work with contractors, we work with project supervisors, we work with all the supervisory bodies of the NDDC and community leaders to ensure that there is value for money, the results of this budget are achieved, and then we will have cause to celebrate.
Honorable Agbedi, who is also the leader of the South-South caucus in the House of Representatives, acknowledged the successes recorded recently by the current board and management of the NDDC. He appealed to the board and management of the commission to remain transparent and effectively channel the funds that will come to its coffers. The 2024 budget proposal, which is expected to have the nod of the Green Chamber in the coming days, will enable the NDDC team to continue its developmental strides in line with the policy thrust of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration across the oil-rich Niger Delta region.
Inside the Niger Delta, Standout Properties Limited presents a real estate opportunity of a lifetime. Bloom Towers, a waterfront twin high-rise buildings of 19 and 21 stories at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean in the prestigious Oniru area, Victoria Island, Lagos. Bloom Towers is a green and smart building project consisting of 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments and maisonettes, as well as 10,300 square meters available space for commercial and corporate use. Built for completion in 2027, Bloom Towers has 236 units available for sale with a starting price of 100 million naira. Lock down a unit today with a down payment of 20% and spread the balance over the next 24 months. Contact us on 080-693-47063 or 091-22-656-975.
It is a project that will bring huge return on investment.
Bloom Towers, from foundation to skyline. Ezekiel Group, oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Ezekiel Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability and infrastructure development.
Delta State Governor Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewori last week commended the Delta State Independent Electoral Commission, DSEC, as well as security agencies for conducting and overseeing a peaceful local council election in the state. Governor Oborewori gave the commendation while speaking to journalists after casting his vote at Unit 33, Osubi Ward 6 in Okpe local government area of the state. Meanwhile, just before the elections, the governor noted that the robust campaigns that the People's Democratic Party had conducted across the state demonstrated its readiness to clinch victory at the polls. According to Governor Oborewori, it was therefore no surprise that the PDP swept all the chairmanship seats in the 25 local government areas of Delta State.
Last Sunday, the Delta State Independent Electoral Commission declared the People's Democratic Party candidates in the July 13th council elections winners of all 25 seats in the state. The commission's chairman, Dr. Jerry Agbaike, made the announcement at the headquarters of the commission in Asaba.
Chairmanship candidates of the People's Democratic Party tested and won in 24 local government councils of the state. However, the chairmanship candidate of the PDP in the 2 local government area was returned unopposed.
Earlier in the week, the state governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oboreori, while addressing supporters of his party, the PDP, during its mega campaign rally in Asaba ahead of the polls, reiterated his administration's resolve to deliver an election that will comply strictly with the principles of democracy. Despite witnessing light and heavy downpours in some parts of the state last Saturday, the day of the elections, voters turned out in their numbers to exercise their franchise. Though there were reported challenges such as the late arrival of materials and election officials in a few areas, the overall turnout was overwhelming and the voting process was adjudged to be seamless.
Sincerely, the election is quite impressive and is free and fair.
We vote for the party when we see. So, no wahala. They not fight us. They not do anything. We just have peaceful.
Speaking to journalists after voting at Unit 33, Osubi Ward 6 in Okpe local government area, Governor Oboreori expressed his satisfaction with the job done by the state election umpire.
I've been up since, monitoring the process, and now I'm here to cast my vote. It's peaceful, people are voting, and I assume too that in other places too, people have come en masse to come and vote.
Following the successful completion of the polls, the state government this Monday, July 15, 2024, administered the oath of office on the newly elected council executives to run the affairs of the third tier of government. The Delta State election took place just days after the Supreme Court of Nigeria delivered a landmark judgment granting financial autonomy to local governments nationwide. This decision reinforces Delta State's long-standing commitment to ensuring the third tier of government is constitutionally empowered to deliver the dividends of democracy to grassroots communities.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Divergent views and interpretations have continued to trail the recent ruling by Justice Inyang of the Federal High Court Abuja in a suit filed by some delegates contesting their exclusion in the People's Democratic Party (PDP) primaries in Edo State. Lawyer and public affairs analyst Frank Tiete and professor of constitutional law Richard Nwokocha said the fate of PDP and its candidate Aswe Ighodalo in the September 21st gubernatorial elections in the state remains dim.
Last week, an Abuja High Court rocked the boat of the PDP when it ruled that some 378 delegates of the party should not have been excluded in the February 22nd primary elections of the party that produced Aswe Ighodalo as its flag bearer. In a suit brought by 3 delegates of the party on behalf of 375 others, Justice Inyang observed that in line with Section 82 of the 2022 Electoral Act, as well as Article 50 of the PDP Constitution, the persons in question were lawfully elected delegates and as such should not have been excluded from the February primary elections. This ruling by Justice Ekwo has left Aswe Ighodalo winner of the February 22nd PDP primaries in limbo. However, legal experts and political observers are left divided in their opinion about the validity of the said primaries and the candidature of Ighodalo. Lawyer and public affairs commentator Frank Tiete and professor of constitutional law Richard Nwokocha offered their perspective on the High Court ruling.
The PDP will go into that election with a candidate that has a measure of uncertainty hanging in the air over the head of that candidate. And that decision ultimately may decide whether or not, even after the PDP wins the election, whether it can still stand. Because it will be an issue that can be raised at the Electoral Tribunal.
INEC will be free to say, our interpretation of this is that what you had, which did not comply with the order of the court, which came after you had it, has invalidated what you did. So it will leave the situation open to the interpretation of everybody who has a role to play.
Last week, supporters of the PDP took to the street in Benin to echo their support for Ighodalo and his running mate. It thus appeared that neither the ruling of the court nor the legal opinions of Frank and Professor Nwokocha on the potential dangers ahead is slowing them down.
We are not disturbed about any court case or anything like that.
The PDP primary that was conducted in Ogbemudia Stadium was well conducted.
However, it is uncertain if they are sleeping peacefully at night, especially given how often complex judicial rulings on election matters have turned the tables in the Nigerian political space. Just recently, in 2023, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja also nullified the participation of the PDP and its candidates in the general elections in Plateau State for non-compliance with electoral laws and refusal to carry out the lawful order of court. This may not be the exact scenario playing out in Edo State, but it does highlight the judiciary's pivotal role in shaping the political dynamics in the country, which Edo PDP must navigate with caution if it intends to participate and win in the September gubernatorial elections. For Tiete and Professor Nwokocha, the issues of internal democracy and transparency in the electoral process calls for serious attention in order to stem the recurring judicial interventions in the political landscape.
One solution that I think that is readily available is to design a system that will ultimately, fully, completely exclude the judiciary from taking part in the electoral process.
You can hold these things in a way that is less crisis-riddled or that is crisis-free. But we, rather than do that, if there is anything that is made certain, we even dismantle it and leave it more uncertain.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Well, that's the size of our package on the program for today. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles shown right now on your screens. And please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDNTV Nigeria. Until next week, I am MAMODE AKUGHA, thanking you for staying tuned. Bye for now.